Welcome to the beautiful Morven Park International. We're here for the International and Fall Horse Trials. I'm delighted to be joined by Derek DeGrazia. Derek, thank you for being here.
It's great to be here.
We have incredible weather this weekend. The course looks amazing as always. Tell us a little bit about what's different this year.
Well, this year, first of all, we're so fortunate that we had rain about 10 days, 2 weeks ago, so it really greened everything up, so the place looks wonderful. The course this year follows a lot of the same track. We've changed all the combinations, so it should give the riders something different to look at, and hopefully they'll all have a great weekend here.
Do you think everyone went home and practiced leaf pits after last year?
Well, yeah, I think just just the basic idea of jumping down a bank, probably some of them did.
Well, as always, you've set forth an amazing course for these guys. I know they're excited to tackle it. We've been talking to some of the riders and they love your courses. They love being here at Morven Park. And I think we're in for a very exciting weekend. We have the US Open here is the first qualifier in the 4-star short, which I think will prove to be interesting. What do you think about the US Open concept?
No, I think it's a great idea. I'm really excited to see how it all pans out in its first year, but really looking forward to not only this weekend, but then also a year from now when they have the final here, which will be really exciting and great. I think great for the sport, great for this competition. So I think it'll be wonderful for this place.
I know we're really excited, and we've been eventing here at Morven Park for over 50 years, and so it feels like it only is fitting that we have the final here at Morven Park in 2025.
No, I mean, what a great place. You couldn't have better facilities, better terrain. The overall atmosphere here is so good, and what a great place to have a top-class international competition.
Derek, you and I have talked a number of times about that Morven Park is one of the great places to set your horse up for something that is maybe a next year goal or maybe a later in the year goal. What makes Morven Park so special for that?
Well, as I said before, I think that the fact here, I think that it's such a wonderful site for cross-country. It's got a lot of terrain. I think when you leave here, you know what kind of horse you have, just because there's quite an endurance factor on the cross country, along with the fact that you're able to set jumps in different places based on the terrain, which gives the horses a lot of experience jumping these types of jumps. And so I think that you will know, if your horse is a horse that's probably going to go on and be a 5-star horse after you compete here.
Well, we're looking forward to an incredible weekend. As always, thank you for joining us, and we can't wait for you to tune in on the live stream on Morven Park's YouTube page and on USEF via Clip My Horse. Thank you.
All right, so here we are at fence 4 ABC on the 4-star long. We got a log in here on 4 or 5 strides to another log which is direct in, then you turn in left to a corner. So we think it'll be quite early on the course. You'll only have 3 tables jumped, so it'll be quite quick here, quite early. You want to give a nice confident shot in here. They're nice enough to leave you land on the grass, which is helpful for the first one in, and then get your feet wet. Then you'll go straight to this other log, but it's more, you'll be landing directly in the water, so you want to get as close as possible to the B so that they have a really good confident round jump in and that you land in balance so you can make the left turn to the corner directly afterwards. The more experienced horses will do 1 less to the corner, but he's been kind enough to put it on a turn that doesn't really have a distance, so with the greener ones you'll be able to add as many strides as you want and make the corner as easy as possible. So you'll have jumped in direct into the water. The more experienced horses could be on more of an inside line, but you can make it as easy as you want for the less experienced ones. You can come all the way around as far as here, which you could put as many strides as you want in there basically, and make the corner as easy as possible for the more green ones.
Okay, so we're here at fence 7, which is the A-B open white corner to chevron. It's the second combination on the course. And I think he's been fairly kind here because you can see you've got a little bit of room for the red flags on the right, and I think it's nice for the horses to read with a good ground line. So we've just come off a right-hand turn out of the woods from a fairly forward hedge. So I think the horses can just stay in a bit of a galloping rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2. So I think he's been kind. That's a nice obvious rolling 4 strides to a chevron. Then again, it's decent. It looks all of a 4-star fence, but the ground line's obvious. The ground looks great. And obviously we've been extremely lucky this year because the weather is absolutely perfect and the grounds look phenomenal.
Good morning, guys. We're here at Morven Park, and we're coming to one of the most famous fences in American eventing, the Tremaine Cooper Leaf Pit here at fence 9A, B, and C in the long 4-star at Morven. This fence has always been influential. It's always an exciting fence. We don't see a lot of these around the world, certainly not in North America. And so, anyway, we've come all the way. You've had quite a long gallop with only one fence before fence 9A. We had a combination at 7 and then a long gallop and a single fence at fence 8. So you have to get your horse back balanced and organized so that they're ready for this combination. So you're going to come through the trees over there, get a nice canter, bounce them up and down a little bit, try to jump this vertical nicely but not with too much speed. Then you'll end up getting 4 strides, I think, but I'm never really worried about the number of strides at this fence. And this year, different from previous years, there's a C element, but it's off to the left. Generally, when you jump down this huge drop of probably, depending on where you land, anywhere from probably 5.5 feet to 8 or 9 feet, usually there's a fence straight ahead of us. But this year, Derek's put one slightly off to the left side. And so the main question at this fence is really the drop off. Does your horse trust you enough that you can let go of the reins and let him just do a trot step and hop down the drop? If he just hops down the drop, this should ride very well. Again, we have the C. Generally, accuracy fences are okay when you have a drop fence because you're already behind the motion of the horse. And so, again, I'm not going to worry about how many strides here. I'm just going to jump down the drop, stay behind them, let the hill take me down, and then that momentum will carry me back up the hill. And the other thing that's unique about this fence, obviously you can see the drop is quite substantial, but there's a river or a stream here in the bottom. So you never know if your horse is going to jump over the stream or he's going to run through it. So you can't really worry about the strides. You just put your horse on the line, and by the time you get up the hill to the C element, it's quite a big fence. It's a nice round roll top with brush, but from where I'm standing right now, it looks to be a very big fence. As you can see, it's quite a tall fence. Not that I'm that tall, but it is a very demanding 4-star fence. And there is an option if you aren't comfortable jumping the C element. You can jump straight down the drop, go around, and behind us there you just come back and jump the same brush fence back the opposite way, and off you go. But I think if you want to win this, you have to go the straight way.
Hi, so I'm here at the 4-star long at the beautiful Morven Park, and we're here at fence 11, the coffin, 11 ABC. So we're coming off a little bit of a gallop downhill. So I think around the turn, the curve here coming to the A element, you want to really make sure you get your coffin canter as early as you need, depending on your horse and how fresh he's feeling. You'll know when you need to start bringing them back. And now there is an option for 11A. So you could swing around and do a tightish rollback turn to this coupe if you were worried about the ditch, swing around the A and then catch your B and C. My plan is to definitely go the direct route. So my line here is going to be a little bit left of center, slightly on an angle. This way I think the C will line up better. Then land. A nice snug 1 stride here to the ditch. It's a bit of wider ditch than we're used to, so I think you want to keep your eyes up and your leg on and stay behind your horse just in case they have a little look at it. As you're jumping the ditch, you want to make sure you get your eye on the C element. And then just keep the horse channeled between your leg and your hand, and should be a nice 2 strides up over the C element. Again, there is an option for the C, which is another chevron brush over there. So if you had a problem here, you could swing around and do the option. Or if you weren't certain that your horse would do it the first time, you could do the option of A, B, and then swing around and do your option at C. But I think it's a very nice coffin for the level and should ride great.
So here we are at Morven Park, 4-star long. We're at fence 12, which is this beautiful hanging log coming down the hill to this massive drop in at fence 13A. As you come down the hill, it's just a stunning visual. It's a beautifully decorated fence. It gives the horses lots to see, lots to set against. So you should have a really beautiful jump in where they would really wrap themselves around this fence. But it is, as you can tell, a massive drop. By the time they land and you get your reins back, B comes up incredibly quickly. So you have that beautiful corner with the great brush, but as you come across the water, you can see how steep the incline is on the way out, which will really affect the horse's stride pattern as they come out of the water, get themselves up that large embankment, and then you have probably 9 feet on the flat on grass to get yourself organized over the corner. So as you can see from behind, you'll have a nice distance where you can regather your reins after this massive drop fence in and get yourself organized to come up this rather steep hill before you can get straight and out over your corner. The other thing you have to take into consideration is they're going from a really bright open area to a very dark and closed area, which I think in a lot of ways will help actually channel the horses into the corner. So I think it's been a great course design to situate the corner here and just kind of help us turn back into it. Perfect.
We're here at number 15A, B, and C in the 4-star long. You're just over halfway through the course at this point, and you've done a couple water jumps, you've gone through the coffin, and you come around here. It's kind of a nice swooping turn coming to this quite big triple bar. So you want to have a, kind of rolling down to this, get them up in the air a bit, and then I'll walk this distance. Got 2 skinnies on landing and a bend. So that's a nice 4 strides. It gets you right to the base, which is really nice. If it was any longer, you'd worry about having to really reach to this very skinny. So the striding walks really nicely. And then bending to the next part. This tree does block your view a little bit. Luckily the horses will be able to see it the whole way, so it's not going to surprise them in any way, but it does just block your view for C, so it's adds a little bit of trickiness there. And then this is a pretty direct 3. Just because of how the first part of the line is a little bit short, you're gonna get close to that one. You're gonna have to hug this tree to make this nice 3 strides to C, which I guess is the whole point of the question. It makes it a little bit more difficult, and I think it's a really good test for this part of the course. Should be great.
Here we are at Morven Park's Cory View Mansion Lawn question on the 4-star long course. This is about halfway around the track. And this question comes after quite a steep climb up that little hill over there, turning right in front of this beautiful house to this very big palisade. I think this is a key part of this question, is to get this jump right. You want to have your horse on a powerful, energetic, but controlled stride, so you can make a nice shape over this palisade jump and ride a balanced curve to this massive brush corner at the bottom of this hill. The terrain is the biggest part of this question, and I think being able to land and get your horse into balance is going to be the key to getting a good jump at the corner. My guess is you're going to see most horses land about here if they get this jump right, and then I think you'll see 5 or 6 strides maybe with some horses to this corner. That's 2 strides, 3 strides, 4 strides, 5 strides. And it is a big jump, but I think this brush is going to help back the horses off and get them into the air. And I think most horses will probably get down there quite nicely on 5, but I think you might see the odd 6, but it's a good question. Probably a little easier than what we've seen here in the last couple of years, but a good confidence building question as they go on to the last half of the course.
All right, we're just here at the Smartpack Water 19 A, B and C. It's quite far along in the course. Looking at in the approach here, what Derek has done, you can't actually see through the fence. The horses don't know where they're going to land. It looks like it's going to land a little bit steep into the water here. At this point, you know what you've got with your horse, so I think it's just about staying a little bit brave and trying to help them out if they're a little bit tired. Looking at the weather, looking at the footing, it should be quite quick going this weekend. I don't think it's going to be all that deep. So for me, it's going to be about jumping into this water, trying to hold on to his head for that pretty substantial box in the middle of the water at B, and then an accuracy question on up the hill with a little bit of power out to the C. I'm just going to walk around it. This is my first real good look at it, and you do see quite a big drop off there into the water. Not sure what the distance is going to be. I'll walk that later. I tend to just look around the course the first time and just have a quick eye about where I'm going, and then get a little bit more into the technical part of the distances and stuff like that after I've had initial look round. The box in the water, just make sure you get to it with enough power. Jump across it and then use a little bit of leg coming up the hill. The out's not terribly big, and I don't see too many problems are going to happen here this late on the course. At this point, I think it's a little bit, there's 2 more complexes left to go to get home. So I do think it's just a little bit at this point about getting your horse home. So I hope everyone has a good weekend of competition.
All right, so we're here at fence 22A. This is towards the end of the course, and we're just coming down from this jump behind me. And we're actually have been coming downhill for quite a ways now. So the horses are going to be a bit tired at this point, a bit flat, and especially landing off that last jump, there's a little bit of a drop to it. And so I think the first thing that I'm going to be keeping in mind coming down to this fence is that my horse is going to be a bit on the forehand. I'm not going to have the ideal setup for this as I would if it was towards the beginning of the course. The thing that I do like is that this brush wants to create a really nice round shape. So I think that Derek is helping us have the best jump in that we can. The thing that I notice when I'm walking to the first brush is that line over there on the left looks pretty doable, but now I can't even see it anymore. So I think the problem is going to be that even if we get a nice jump over the first brush, it's going to be a bit of a surprise and a pretty steep angle to the first of the combination. So I think that there are probably 2 options here. I think the riskier option, but I think depending on your horse's length of stride, would be landing really straight and doing 4 strides. And that gets us there, but it's a bit long. So if you're on a horse that has a long natural stride, it's going to be even longer because of the downhill approach. And if you don't want to take a tug, I think that's one option. Okay, and I think the second option would be to just jump this first brush on a slight angle, landing more out here, and then doing a slight bending 5 stride. So that walks just about 3 feet short. So it's a bit of a risk either way. The horses are tired, they're on the forehand, like I said, so turning can be a bit risky. Going straight, it's a bit risky because maybe they've landed on the forehand and they've not seen the first element. So I think that those are the two challenges here. Once you're over the first, I think that it's really fairly nice, if anything like this could be nice, because it's not a crazy long two. There's 1, 2. That gets us right there. So I think the most challenging bit is going to be the turn from the first brush into the from the A element to the B element. I think once you get to the B, I think then as long as you can keep your horse straight, you're set. So hopefully I'll be able to keep my horse straight.
Okay, so this is the second to last combination on course. We want to be mindful that we keep watching the time, but also we don't want to have a silly mistake. Coming down the hill, I'm going to hope to get this a little bit right to left, so we get their eye on the line early, but we don't want to be too cheeky because we have a little bit of a blind turn. I'm not going to worry too much about the stride. Hopefully just have a nice 6. But I want to come here, get nice and square to this fence because we land and go left. So it's not advantageous to jump this left to right, pointing in the wrong direction. So here, keep them nice and straight, and then landing, opening that left, right, and off we go to home.